I'd love it. Bring as many others as you want. I'd love it because you haven't got a leg to stand on, and you know it if the truth is brought out about what you're really doing. The way it works is this. I've been researching this now for I'm in my 35th year of doing it. There's what I call this global cult, and what that is a network of secret societies. The central banks of the world are working to a unified agenda. And it's unified through the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which is a private organization. And this is how, by the way, this digital currency agenda, the programmable digital currency, through the central banks, is being coordinated through the Bank for International Settlements.
An increasing number of countries and central banks are exploring and developing their own digital currencies as money evolves from physical cash to digital forms. As of 2025, more than 100 countries are exploring or developing CBDCs, motivated by various factors such as enhancing monetary policy effectiveness, reducing transaction costs, promoting financial inclusion, and addressing the decline in the use of physical cash. This trend is not just theoretical. Countries like China, the Bahamas, and Nigeria have already launched or piloted their own CBDCs. Prominent researcher and conspiracy theorist David Icke argues that money is a tool of control, essential for freedom, but has increasingly been concentrated among a few elites. He claims central banks are shifting toward programmable digital currencies to consolidate power. According to David Icke, an impending economic crash is no accident but a planned reset to introduce centralized digital currencies. CBDCs raise significant privacy concerns, as they could enable authorities to monitor every transaction, unlike physical cash, which ensures anonymity. While reflecting on their goals, David foresees AI-driven job losses consolidating power in a few global corporations. In response, governments may enforce control through minimal, conditional basic incomes. Meanwhile, he warns of AI dominating society, controlling finances and restricting movement in 15-minute cities. Experts predict that AI will replace full-time careers in 2025, reducing the number of jobs and creating a greater reliance on gig employment and freelancers. AI has been in the Wild West for the last few years. According to a recent study from the Frank Hawkins Keenan Institute of Private Enterprise, Gen AI might also disproportionately affect women's jobs. Approximately 79% of working women have positions that are susceptible to automation versus 58% of working men. Drawing parallels with China's surveillance model, David Icke claims a global control system is already taking shape. He cautions that its reach will expand over time, affecting even those who feel secure today. Now, we present the clips of David Icke's insights from his recent interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
They want to go to a point where they own and control the entirety of global finance. I would mention from what I said earlier, what I remember, by the way, that the central banks of the world are working to a unified agenda. And it's unified through the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which is a private organization where the central bank heads meet and decide or get told what's going to be the common agenda of those central banks. And of course, the central banks like the Federal Reserve, Bank of England, etc., have enormous impacts on national economies. So, and this is how, by the way, this digital currency agenda, the programmable digital currency, through the central banks, is being coordinated through the Bank for International Settlements, through all the others. So it's like, isn't it funny? All these central banks are deciding the same thing at the same time, and they're all from different countries. Yeah, it's coordinated, mate. It's coordinated. So you're looking at a scenario, and there are three elements to it: the concentration of money, AI, and a guaranteed income for the population. And how it works is, first of all, they are going to crash the economy on a level that you'll hear on Mars, and will make 2007, 2008 seem like, Mary Poppins at a tea party, because they want to crash the system as it is now so they can introduce their new system, which will be based on programmable digital money. And we're seeing all the stepping stones being brought in towards that now. Will destroy the job prospects of enormous numbers of people. Because lots of companies will go out of business. Because the idea is you centralize, and you hoover up until there's that just that handful of global corporations that run everything. See Amazon. And the AI part of it is one, AI, I've been predicting this and saying this for so bloody long, decades now, is going to take over from humans in terms of work opportunities. It's going to take them all. We're now in the situation, irony of ironies, where more and more news stories are being written by AI. So journalists are losing their jobs. The journalists that kept their mouths shut, their heads down, and their minds ignorant to allow all this to go on unreported. So AI is taking, and we've seen nothing yet, enormous amounts of jobs from people. You have this problem suddenly of all these people that have no income. And the idea is that you give them a guaranteed income. And they're starting to trial these in different places now. It's all part of the rollout. And people say, oh, well, that's all right. Then we'll get a guaranteed income. That's good. Yeah. That's not what it's about. First of all, it'll be a pittance. And secondly, you'll only get it if you're a good boy and girl. If you challenge the system or you're a dissident to the system or you have the wrong opinion on bloody Twitter, then you won't get it. That's the idea. It's all about control. And then you say, well, I don't want it. I don't want your bloody guaranteed income. And then they say, well, where else are you going to get one from? All the jobs are gone. And this is the control system that's being built all around us while people can't see it.
Renowned expert David Icke claims taxation is unnecessary, arguing governments could create money but instead manipulate economies for control. He attributes the West's decline to deliberate policies like open borders, outsourcing, and harmful sanctions. These actions, he says, empower Eastern powers like China and Russia. Other countries, particularly those of the world's fastest-growing BRICS economies, are watching the increasing yuan transactions with interest. BRICS leaders have mooted the idea of a shared currency to create a multipolar financial system and be less reliant on the dollar. Despite alternative media's admiration for figures like Putin, David argues they are aligned with a global agenda to undermine Western society. Regarding global surveillance, David views China as a model that is now spreading to the West. China's ties with Western capitals have soured in recent years over trade policy, human rights issues, the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, and Beijing's increasingly assertive sovereignty claims in East Asia. Chinese state media has recently portrayed their country as a beacon of true multilateralism and globalization while criticizing what Beijing views as the U.S. meddling in global affairs. Let's get back to the interview.
If we were not taxed, think of the massively increased choice that would come from that. They don't want to give us choice. They want to take our choice away. So they want to limit the amount of money that people have. And, if you're, there have been people that have benefited from this system and made a lot of money that are not part of it. But where we're heading now, I say to those people, they want you as well. And they want your money as well. Because if you're not part of this, they want all of you on this basic income control system. What they've been doing is putting inflation into the system. What they're doing is undermining national economies and the global economy, especially in the West. The West is the target. They want to dismantle Western society. That's why the borders are wide open. So Western society can be dismantled with a massive infusion from other cultures. And the whole foundation of the way the world's moving from a geopolitical financial point of view is it's moving eastward, and it's being done on purpose. When you look back at Chairman Mao and his revolution in China, Chairman Mao was a cult operative. He was put in there for a reason. The reason was that if you are paying lip service to freedom, democracy, then you can only move in this agenda at a certain pace, because people are going, hold on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because there's supposed to be a free country in it. So in China, they had the Mao Revolution, and they had a massive population within which they could incubate and develop a system of, not least through AI, of total human control and surveillance. And the idea was that once that had been perfected, you play it out across the world. The West has become more and more like China. And what other things have been happening, like the Western corporations, the cult corporations, have been outsourcing their production to China and the East. they've been giving China control over the global supply chain of very essential goods, and China is after Taiwan. Says it should have Taiwan. It's his land, their land. And Taiwan is responsible for about 60% of the production of semiconductors, which are essential to the technological world that we are now in. So the control that China would have if they got hold of Taiwan is massive in and of itself. And then you have the Ukraine situation and the sanctions. I mean, Putin is all part of it as well. It's all a game. But what he said in an interview recently was true, but totally disingenuous because he knows the reason. It's that all the Western sanctions against Russia for the invasion of Ukraine have not harmed Russia because Russia has just done more and more trade with China and sold more and more resources and energy resources to China and other Eastern countries. The sanctions have been devastating for the West. And Putin said in this interview that he was bewildered. He was bewildered. Why would they do that? Well, you know, Vladimir, why they've done it. They've done it because the idea is to dismantle Western hegemony and power and economic power. And that's why the sanctions have backfired. They were meant to backfire.
The actions of central banks can no longer be considered socially or even politically neutral. The increasing centralization of power through financial systems, surveillance, and technological control threatens individual freedom and privacy. How can we control our privacy and freedom as everything goes more digital and monitored? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to support our channel and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the next video.